Hey everyone, Kristen David here with Robert Solano. In honor of National Entrepreneur Month, we thought we would jump on and have a little fun and just talk a little bit about four pillars in business, the four pillars in life, and just talk about what it's like to be an entrepreneur. So, Robert, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm glad for any chance I have to chat with you.
Thank you. Well, as maybe many of our listeners or watchers don't know this, but you and I have known each other for several years, and I was so excited last year when you said you're writing a book, and I was one of the first ones that wanted to read it because I've seen what an amazing life you and your wife Zyra have created, and the fact that you guys have been able to balance so much of it. And as an entrepreneur, it is tough to build a business that's successful and balance your life. And so I was super excited to that you were on that journey. Tell us about the book. How's it going? When did it get published? All of that.
Yeah, of course. So the book is Alpha Couples, Build a Powerful Marriage Like a Boss, and published this summer. And it's been going good. We had a really big push of sales at first. We hit the #1 chart on Amazon, which was tremendous. And we're still trying to keep that momentum going, trying to spread the message with the world, and really help.
See, I even captured it when it hit #1. I was so excited for you guys. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great feeling. We were really ecstatic to be in that spot, and I think we were in the spot for about 2 days. And we were in the marriage category too. We were in #1 new release in the marriage category on Amazon as well. So it was good. The book, you actually had a really big influence in the book because the book journals me and my wife Sarah's journey as entrepreneurs. You talk about how important it is to have balance. Well, when we first started dating, when we got married, we didn't have a lot of balance. We were pulling our hair out, trying to figure out how to manage both of our careers and our business. She owns a law firm. And then we found you, we started working with you as a coach and some other coaches. And the book really captures that experience and growth as business owners, as professionals, as a couple, as we learned how to get better control over our business, our life, and our relationship.
And that's so much of what I think you and I have both, we were talking about this earlier, of how so many entrepreneurs will jump in and their whole life becomes their business becomes their whole life, right? No judgment zone. I did it too, where I was getting there at 6 a.m. and working until midnight in my law firm back before I moved on to other things. And it was one of those areas that you're passionate about it and you want to see it build and grow, but it can consume you and to the detriment of your family and your friends and having a life outside of the business.
Yeah, definitely. You talk about the 4 pillars of a successful business and how important it is for entrepreneurs to manage, not just always focus on, okay, like I need to do this trial, I need to do this case, but you also have to focus on your finances. You have to focus on your personal goals. And in lots of ways, that same principles of 4 pillars, I see that also applying to the way you manage your life as well. You have to come to a point where you realize that to have a really amazing life, your business is one pillar, but then you also have to focus on your finances, your personal finances, not just your business finances, your relationship with your spouse, friends, community, and then also yourself. And how are you taking care of yourself?
That's
how
great.
are you keeping your mental fitness, your physical fitness? And so one of the things I stress in the book is balancing those 4 areas and really trying to continue to grow in those 4 areas continuously. I'm not perfect, but at least we try.
No, it's so true. I mean, Listen, life is a journey, right? I mean, we're always kind of navigating. There's always things that are going to pop up. There's always new projects, new exciting hobbies, new things. And that's part of our desire to thrive and grow, right? And to learn. But one of the things I love about the book and about what you and I have talked about in the past and such, and that I think is part of this whole thing with National Entrepreneurship Month, is it's great to be an entrepreneur. It's great to be a business owner, but you do have to find what makes you thrive, and what are the tasks and the things you love to do, and what are the things that you don't like to do. Like what are the soul sucking, right, things that, because being an entrepreneur is it's not all just about the high points. It's about the fact that there are times you are down there shoveling. You are shoveling yourself through a lot of slug and muck and mess, and it's not always fun. And as you grow a business, one of the things you want to do is find ways to outsource or to, those time-saving things. When you and Zyra were both building your careers, I know in the book you talk a lot about, how you balance that, how you get those time-saving things back by hiring people or doing things.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of mindset issues when you start getting down that path too. When you're young, growing a business, usually you do everything yourself. You are your marketing, your financing, your bookkeeping, you're probably, trying to do your own taxes on TurboTax.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing everything yourself, because that's what you need to do at first lots of times when you're down in the knife fight and just trying to get those first few clients. But then you get to a point where you're at like $500,000 to $1 million in revenue, where doing everything yourself actually is bad for business, and it's actually holding you back. And that was a real struggle for Zyra and I. And one of the things I talk about in the book is when Zyra hired her office manager, because for a long time she was managing everything. She was human resources, doing everything. And she brought in an office manager who, was making $100,000 a year. At the time, most of her employees were making 50 to 60K a year. But to hire someone and to put out that much cash, that is just, at the time was mind boggling to us that we were giving someone else 600 or, 6 figures to do the job that Zyra and me were doing ourselves. But that kind of quantum leap was required, because as soon as we hired that person, within a few months, they more than made up for that investment. And so it happens in your business, whether it's, marketing director, personal assistant, executive assistant. And personal assistant is another huge kind of mindset issue, right? The idea, me and Zyra have had a personal assistant for about 2 to 3 years now, that helps us. And I use the example, like returning Amazon packages, right? Like the returning Amazon packages, I mean, most of us do it, but it's such a simple task, right? You're like, why can't I return my Amazon packages? It takes 10 minutes out of my day. I drive 10 minutes to the post office, wait in line 5 minutes, hand the box to them, and then come back. I should be able to do that myself. But when you're a busy executive, a busy entrepreneur, that 25 minutes to go return an Amazon package, Zyra's fee for consulting is like $350. My salary is, $50 to $100 per hour. Our time is more valuable than returning Amazon packages. But making that mental shift and hiring someone to do simple tasks like that, whether it's, occasionally doing grocery shopping or cleaning our house, even hiring a housekeeper at first was hard for us, because we were just, we'll just spend a few hours on Saturday, clean the house and whatever. But to hire someone to do that the first time was It is a growing process.
So that's actually one that's on track. It's on schedule for, we do a lot of, at Upleveling Your Business, we do a lot of packages, systems packages. And I'm currently this week later today, filming the how to hire, onboard, and work with a marketing coordinator, which I'll talk about in a minute. But on deck in January is how to hire, onboard, and work with an executive assistant, because my executive assistant does so much. I mean, she makes my life better every single day. And so many people are like, I want one, but what do they do? And how do you manage them? Like what are you really supposed to like give them to do? And how do you know if they're doing the right things? And I mean, there's just so much uncertainty with any position. I mean, we did the how to hire, onboard, and work with a marketing assistant last spring. And it's been one of our best sellers because people are like, ooh, I want one. But what are you actually how do you hold them accountable? How do you make sure they're getting results and driving, sales? And so, we've had a lot of fun with a lot of those, but the executive assistant, the personal assistant, it seems like it's one of those things that are a little bit, I don't know, some people would call it frivolous. Yeah. But honestly, they help you get so much more done in your life.
They do. You talk about in your book, the first pillar is, I believe, what you want. Like you have to decide what you want in life. That's part of a pillar of the business. And it's same with our personal life. Like you really have to decide, how do I want to spend my free time? How do I want to spend my energy? Do I want to spend my time engaging with my wife or loved one and growing my business and helping clients? Or do I want to spend my time making dinner reservations, right? Because one of the things our personal assistant does is she schedules date night for us. Like we tell her, hey, twice a month, schedule date night. We don't care where we go. We don't care what we do. Just put it on our calendar and send us a text with the details. And it automates that process. So now me and my wife, Sarah, can spend time together. Like we don't have to worry about the logistics, where we're going, when we're going. And that's just one way that an assistant is so crucial. They let you focus on what you really want to focus on instead of the logistics and trivial stuff.
And that's part of, I love the comment by Victoria on Facebook of deciding what we want is crucial. You've got to get clear on what kind of life you want to live, how you want to act and respond. And then you do what you need to do to make that happen. I mean, that's such a key part to all of this. And I mean, just yesterday, I'm down hanging out with my parents, and, it was like at noon, I went for a walk with my mom. And then at 4 o'clock, I went with both of my parents. We walked, they're 86 years old. We go up to the mailbox and back. But it was a beautiful fall day in the Pacific Northwest. And sure, there were more emails I needed to do and people to respond to, but all those little things filter in later. But what's really important is spending time with loved ones and enjoying the nature and just the beauty of our world. And yes, it starts with getting clear on what's important. So we talked a little bit about the business, finance, relationships, and yourself. And I get to talk about business, the 4 pillars of a successful business. We help business owners grow all the time. I love it. It's so much fun. We have 6 coaches now and all these great clients that are thriving and doubling and tripling their businesses. And but today I wanted to talk with you, Robert, a little bit more about the fact that there is this whole, like, your finances and your own, like, building up a lifestyle so you could thrive. And I know you were very candid in your book, and you've talked to some people I know in the past about, like, don't go spend. It's great to do wonderful things out there, but have a clear financial plan. Yes. Talk a little bit about that, because I think entrepreneurs don't always pay themselves. They don't always put themselves first.
Yeah. I definitely think, there's, we've studied Profit First and the Profit First method. There's other methods as well. But in terms of your business, you really have to pay yourself first. And you really have to set out your goals, figure out how much money you want the business to pay you, and really dig in to make that happen. And I guess, in my book, I take that a step further, because I've seen, lots of entrepreneurs, they take that first step. Okay, they're making good money. They have a nice bank account. But then the next step is, how do you apply finances to your personal life? And how do you pay your future self first? The self that wants to retire in 10 years, or the self that wants to buy a house in 10 years. And so in addition to having your business finances, which is the first step, then you have to have your personal finances and figure out your investment strategy and your Roth IRA, your 401k, all those kind of strategies. And one of the challenges that me and Syra really struggled with, and lots of couples struggle with this, is as her business was growing, she had a abundance mindset, right? Like she had money. She felt, I need to spend money to make money. And I had an investment savings mindset where I'm like, no, we need to save money. We need to max out our retirement accounts. And we had a lot of friction at first, because those two mindsets are not always compatible. And so we really had to sit down and figure out a way where we could have an abundance mindset and an investment mindset, and support both of our interests and goals. And that's really important, especially for married couples that may or may not be working together in the same business.
Yeah. And it's a great point of, you do want that abundance. As a lawyer, was $2,000 a month, which wouldn't have been bad, except for my student loan payments were like $1,500 a month. So that left like a big whopping $500 to pay all my bills and everything, and not much money for spending. And so later, when I started becoming more successful, big goals were like pay off my student loans and, get rid of credit card debt. But then it was like, what do I want to do, and where do I want to invest? And I'm blessed now to be, at least in my mind, have some good stability, but it takes work, and they don't teach you in professional school how to save your money and how to organize it. So it's something you have to work at. It's something you have to actively set a goal and get clear on and work towards.
Yeah. And you need mentors and coaches as well, right? Like, and I think that one of the reasons, like I said, one of the reasons I wrote the book is because me and Syra were getting a whole bunch of coaching about the business, and you were one of our coaches. So we were getting all this coaching about the business, but for a while we weren't getting the same type of coaching about our personal finances or our relationship. And so I kind of took those same principles and started applying them. And, we started meeting with our CPA regularly to talk about our, our tax strategy throughout the year, not just the business side, but also our personal tax strategy. We started meeting with our financial planners, and we started meeting with marriage coaches, because if you have a coach for your business, there's no reason why you shouldn't also try to have a coach for your marriage and relationship as well. So it's just, lots of people try to do it by themselves, but whether it's your business or your personal life, it really helps to have someone that you can lean on for help.
I'm just putting this up here of get coaches to help support you, because it's really important to always try to build and grow. And I think I worked with Zyra and tons of attorneys for a lot of years. And I said, listen, you're going to be growing, and I want you to, your other side goal is personally to have X amount in passive income by the end of the year, or to, have that full-time nanny or that whatever person. I just got an email or a text a couple days ago. I mean, just in the last 7 days, I've had 3 incredible text messages or emails, texts that made me cry. One was, the person said, just bought, my business just broke the $1 million mark in 2020 for the first, and then also bought $1 million home. And it was like, I know
who that is.
to see that growth. And And I remember when that business owner was doing like 15,000 a month. And it's just so incredible to see that. Another one was from
That's
someone
all
who,
in a year and a half, I think.
yeah, 18 months.
Yeah.
Another business owner came to me. February 1 was our first month working together. And she had done 74,000 in January. And she did in June 159,000. She broke 200,000 in August, and now in October she broke 300,000 a month. And it's just like, but she's been able to empower her team and do so many great things. And we were having this whole discussion about passive income and the fact that, like, okay, great. Now that you've grown the business and it's stable and it's thriving, now we need to dive into you and your kids and the planning and creating that stability. And so it's so much fun to help people on that journey, but it's that holistic view of making sure that you're working on different areas and things. Victoria says your business can grow to the extent that you grow. Yeah, it's that personal growth precedes professional growth mindset.
And I think, something that I know or you're well aware of, you need an exit strategy, right? And for some people, that exit strategy is to sell their business, which is fine, and you've sold your business.
Yeah.
For other people, that exit strategy is to get the business to a point where it's running by itself, and eventually you can just back away and go sip Mai Tais on the beach somewhere and, just collect that income. And but you need that kind of strategy, or your exit strategy may be, I'm just going to save up a whole bunch of money in the bank, and then when I retire, just use that to fund my lifestyle until I go to heaven or whatever. But you need that long-term vision of where you want your business to be in the future, instead of just focusing on the day-to-day all the time.
I'm smiling big because I'm going to pop this up there. Honestly, it's so at Upleveling Your Business, we now have 6 coaches on the team. And one of them is a certified exit planning strategist. And she helps business owners because, as you grow, it's natural to start thinking about, do you want to build up a department and spin it off? Do you want to, sell the whole thing eventually? And what needs to happen? But there's a lot of mindset of getting ready. I mean, it took me 3 months to decide whether to sell my business, and then another 6 months to get it all put together. And it's your identity gets caught up with your profession. And when you go to think about exiting, it's like, but what will I do? And how's that gonna feel? And so we actually have, our coach does 4 phone calls to kind of go through that planning process to help you start thinking about where are you going to be and financially, how are you going to structure this? So I love that you just impromptu raised that, because I'm so passionate about telling entrepreneurs, hey, let's start thinking ahead. It might not be for another 3 or 5 years, but let's have the plan. But yes, Entrepreneurship Month is always a great time to talk about all kinds of areas of our lives and how to make it better, from starting, growing a business to exiting or transitioning. So lots of fun.
Yeah, and what a great month. Thank you. I really appreciate you reminding me that it's Entrepreneur Month. So I'm looking forward to your future discussions too. I know you have Lee Hayward coming on to talk about branding. We've been to, I think, one of her speeches before, or presentations before. She's phenomenal. And then you have another guest talking about diet and the food that you keep in your fridge. I think, again, when you have to expand just beyond your business, look at your personal life and how you can grow and maintain balance. And I think health is important too.
It's very important, and no judgment zone, but as you get busy with your business and doing things, you don't always eat healthy. You don't always get the exercise. You don't always get out for that run that you need to do, and that you want to do, but you just, so National Entrepreneurship Month is a month to help think about all those fun things and remind yourself that it's more than just being a business owner. It's the personal life. And I mean, I love so many elements of your book where you tackle that. How do you grow the business? How do you grow your finances? How do you grow your personal relationships? Just so many different layers and elements. And also just that, like you talked about earlier, as you grow, you bring other people on your team to help you. And that that you have great individuals that are getting things done so that your time isn't spent doing all the nitty gritty in there. So definitely a part. So listen, I want one more thing, Robert. Let's leave everybody with what would be one or two things they could focus on doing this month to kind of plan that health, wealth, happiness. I know you've got a whole chapter in the book about like certain parts of happiness, but like what are some things that they could start focusing on and being intentional about this month?
I'll give you two. I'll give you one kind of big broad thing and then one specific thing. So one big broad thing is if you're married, do this with your partner. If not, do it by yourself. But sit down and write out a personal life plan. So not a business plan, but write out what your goals are for the next 12 months, for the next 5 years. So I usually do one column 12 months, one column 5 years, and then across the side do goals for your business, goals for your finances, goals for your relationships, and then goals for yourself. And sit down with someone that you love and do that. So that's kind of long-term planning. And then short-term planning, the tip I have is if something's important to you, put it on your calendar. If you look at my calendar, I have date night on the calendar. Every Wednesday night, me and Sarah try to cook dinner together. It's on our calendar every Wednesday night. At the end of every day, I do physical fitness. So at 6 o'clock every day is physical fitness, whether it's Peloton, weightlifting, whatever. If you want to go out for a run, put it on your calendar. This way, everyone in your company knows that time is blocked off. So those are my two tips.
I posted those in the comments as well, because it's just those are two great things, the long-term goals and the short-term goals. And I love, me, I love the calendar. I'm a planner, and building systems. Systems are one of those areas where you don't have to waste as much mental energy when you have a good routine and a good system to follow. And other people are able to, you empower them to step up and do things for you when you have clear written guidelines of how you want it done, checklists. I think, for like our housekeeper, the nanny, the personal assistant, executive assistant, there are checklists of like what we cover, what we go over, so we don't have to like waste mental energy thinking through what was that? What did we do last month? My executive assistant and I sat down last week and we did a 45-minute calendaring session, and we went through the checklist, and it was like what birthdays, anniversaries, even travel plans, holidays, like what, and we looked at the next 2 months and we started layering in and protecting that time. And then, later, all the other little things will fill in the calendar, but stay focused on those big anchors that give you joy in life and happiness. So
you got to put the big rocks in the jar first.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us. And as always, I'm going to post out there the Alpha Couples. I don't know if this is the right link. It's just from Amazon. So it's yay. I know you've got my book too. That's awesome. I love it. If anybody has not read Alpha Couples, I am absolutely a big fan. I hope everybody picks up a copy and reads it. I know, Robert, I have actually gifted that book I think I've gifted 4 or 5 digital copies, and I've mailed a bunch of copies and things like that. So we definitely, like lots of great stuff there. I'll also throw my book link up there as well. But listen, entrepreneurship is amazing. being with a business owner that is thriving and growing. I know you are, you're not technically an owner of Zyra's. I mean, she's amazing with a kick-ass law firm, but you are sort of an owner because you're there, you're part of this, even though, you're not a lawyer per se. And so the state might say you can't be an owner, but you're an owner. And so you're involved in that day after day after day. So kudos to the two of you for growing something amazing. And hey, I know that I think, Robert, I could speak for both of us to anyone out there that is interested in learning more, wants to talk, has questions, private message us. I'll be, sharing Robert's contact information, or at least his Facebook info and such. You guys, if you're out there watching this and you're wanting to grow yourself personally and professionally, don't ever hesitate to reach out to other successful entrepreneurs and successful individuals and talk to them, get feedback, because that's how you grow and learn. Would you agree?
I completely agree, Kristen.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you once again, Robert. Have a great rest of your day. Good, productive week. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.